To even get on the list at Arbor Acres, put down $1,000 per person and then you wait. Some people wait 5 or even 10 years and they're doing it willingly. I've been in real estate for 22 years and today I'm showing you the 3 reasons why this is Winston-Salem's #1 retirement community and why people would rather wait than settle for anywhere else. And if you're planning retirement in this area, you need to hear the timing strategy I'm sharing. Let's dive in. Arbor Acres sits just outside Buena Vista, one of Winston-Salem's premier neighborhoods, if not the premier neighborhood. It has easy access to both downtown and Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center, and here's what sets it apart. This is a continuing care retirement community for adults 62 and up. But in the case of a married couple, the spouse may be 60. No matter what kind of situation you are in right now or what you might need later, it's all here on the same campus. You're making the move for the rest of your life, not 3 or 4 years as your needs change. Now, this is something that ends up being way more important than people expect. Here's the thing. A lot of retirement communities are great until memory issues enter the scene. When that happens, they make you move again to a different facility that handles that kind of care. This one hits a little close to home, if I'm being honest. Most families have dealt with this in some form or fashion. So you might have to move to an entirely new place, new staff, new routine, and that's usually happening during an already stressful time. Arbor Acres doesn't do it that way. See, if memory care ever becomes necessary for you or your spouse, it's already here. Same campus, same community. The people you know don't disappear overnight. And that really matters, especially for couples. You're not looking at living in 2 completely different places. Just because one person needs more support or frankly different support than the other. You stay connected, close. You stay familiar with your surroundings, even when your needs change. Arbor Acres has been around since March of 1980. It works for a nonprofit connected to the United Methodist Church, and that gives you a little context for how long it's been a part of this community and how it's structured. Here's what actually matters day to day. This is the only continuing care retirement community in Winston-Salem that's accredited by CARF, C-A-R-F. For those that aren't familiar with this, CARF is an independent organization that evaluates senior living and care communities. Their goal is to make sure they're meeting high standards. And here's what's amazing about it. They haven't just had the accreditation once or twice. They've held it for 30 straight years. That means every few years, outside reviewers come in, look at how everything's run, and they keep meeting that high standard. That kind of consistency over the long period of time is not common, especially, frankly, in senior living. CARF evaluates everything: clinical care, dining services, resident satisfaction, operational standards. Maintaining that level of third-party verification for 3 decades tells you this place operates at a different standard. The location is strategic. It's right between Buena Vista and the Wake Forest area, close to downtown. You're not right in the thick of things, but you are also very much not isolated. Plus, having Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center just minutes away becomes extremely important as health needs change over time. Now, let me tell you what drives people to put their name on the waiting list for years, if not decades. I'm not kidding. First, real quick, if you're looking at Arbor Acres or other retirement communities around Winston-Salem, I work with families on this every year and can help you compare your options, your timing, and availability. My contact information is in the description below. All right, let's keep going. Reason number 1, consistently high resident satisfaction. Arbor Acres is one of the few retirement communities in Winston-Salem where I've literally never heard a negative word. After 16 years in this market, almost 17, that says a lot. I have 2 or 3 clients every year who have been waiting for their lottery ticket to be called. Minimum 5 years, some pushing honestly over a decade. That's how long people are willing to wait for a spot at Arbor Acres. These aren't people getting burned by marketing hype. They do their research, they visit, they talk to the residents, and they decide to stay on the list because what they see and hear from actual residents will backs up that reputation. People talk about it as a place that just feels right. Well-run, friendly staff, people who actually know your name. I've heard from families who've been around here for like 20, 30 plus years and still say great things. And frankly, that tells you a lot about how consistent this place really is. The moment I got here at the end of 2009, Arbor Acres was already where everybody wanted to retire. That hasn't changed in the 17 years. Actually, the demand has gotten even more intense as Winston has grown. And this is exactly why the waiting list here works the way it does. Once you understand that part, the demand starts to make a lot more sense. I'll explain that in a bit, so stay tuned. Now, the culture is the main reason why people stay this happy for this long. They actually put residents first. On top of that, there's one specific thing that residents talk about more than anything else. Reason number 2, food quality that actually matters. Let's be honest, food is where a lot of retirement communities fall apart. You're eating there every day. And if the food's just okay, that gets old fast. Arbor Acres does this differently. See, they take food very seriously. They have an executive chef called Jolie Schaefer, hope I pronounced that right, who was named National Executive Chef of the Year in 2024. Not in the region, in the country. And that shows up in the food. This isn't like cafeteria dining. The people living here know good food. See, they've eaten in nice restaurants. They know what quality looks and tastes like. And that's why you hear residents compare the food here to private country clubs. The comparison comes up a lot, actually. You've got options, too. If you want something casual, there's lakeside dining. If you're in the mood for a more traditional sit-down meal, well, there's the Arbor Room. And when families come to visit, you can reserve a private dining space, actually enjoy the time together. And if you don't feel like going out at all, meals can be delivered or picked up to go. They even handle catering for events that can be held on campus. Think about what that looks like day to day. You're not cooking unless you want to. Lunch can be social or quiet. Dinner is something you actually might look forward to instead of something you tolerate or have to plan. And when your kids come into town, you're not scrambling to figure out where to go or how to host. When you're living somewhere long-term, stuff like this matters more than people expect. Having food you genuinely enjoy every single day makes a huge difference in how the place feels. And even with food like this and the satisfaction levels we talked about earlier, there's still one thing that defines Arbor Acres more than anything else. Reason number 3, scarcity and long-term demand. This is the part that surprises a lot of people. To even get on the list at Arbor Acres, you're putting down $1,000 per person. And on top of that, this is non-refundable. And you're doing that knowing you might wait 5+ years. Some people wait over 10. There's no promise on timing, no guarantees, and people still line up. That alone tells you a lot. Demand here is real. And it's been that way for as long as I can recall, multiple years, if not decades. This isn't about a call you wait for a few months. It's a true waiting list. There are people right now who applied years ago and still check in from time to time just to see where they're at. There's no fast track. It's basically a lottery system. Your number comes up when it comes up. The only real strategy is getting on the list early. And when we go to pricing later, you'll see why people are willing to do this. The way the fees work surprises a lot of people, but we'll get there in a minute. The thing is, waiting is hard. People second guess it all the time. They wonder if they should just keep looking, they get frustrated, and that's obviously completely normal. Something you could do is tour it now, then tour it again a couple years later when you're closer to the top of the list. Communities change, your priorities change. A first impression from 5 years ago doesn't always match the reality of today. And the reason the list moves so slowly is pretty simple. People don't leave. Couples move in while they're fully independent. And if one spouse needs more help later, they transition within the same community. Nobody's forced to move or split up. So that flexibility keeps turnover low. And this is great if you live here. But it's tough if you're trying to get in. Homes only open up when someone passes away or decides to move closer to a family in another state. That's it. Inventory doesn't rise and fall with the market like normal real estate. And even with that non-refundable fee and the long wait, people still stay committed. I've seen clients turn down other places just to hold their spot here. If you're helping your parents think through this, here's the practical takeaway. You apply before they're ready to move, not when they're ready. That feels early, but that's how the system works. Arbor Acres has become the benchmark in Winston-Salem. Most families see this first and then measure everything else against it. So, once you finally get in, here's what daily life actually looks like. Amenities. Everything here is built around staying active and staying connected. And a lot of it is already included in what you're paying each month. Let's start with fitness. Here you've got the Tomlinson Wellness Center. It has indoor pools, a hot tub, and a full gym. And they have regular classes like yoga, tai chi, and silver sneakers. And here's what might matter. You don't have to talk yourself into driving across town to work out. You literally just walk over or down the hall and it's right there. That removes a lot of excuses, which could be good or bad depending on how you want to look at it. If you're more into the arts and culture, well, there's plenty of that too. An art studio, a collection on campus. There's also musical groups, choirs, and movie nights with live music as well. Another thing they do is organize trips out to galleries and culture spots around Winston-Salem. So you're still plugged into what's happening within the city as well. Pickleball is obviously big here as it is pretty much everywhere. There are courts on site and it's one of the most popular activities. If you've never played, someone will show you, I promise. If you already play, well, you'll find plenty of people at your level or maybe even above quickly. Now, here's where Arbor Acres really separates itself: the services. I mean, weekly housekeeping, laundry, and home maintenance. You don't have to worry about cable either, or internet and transportation. In the apartments, utilities are included too. You're not dealing with plumbers or lawn care or random bills showing up in the mail. If something breaks, you call the front desk and it gets handled. That changes daily life more than people expect. You're not managing a house anymore. You're not coordinating repairs or keeping track of utility payments. You're free to just enjoy your time. And I'll tell you later how all of this plays into my personal take on whether this actually makes sense for you. But first, here's some practical things worth mentioning. If you ever need extra help down the road, Arbor Acres already has relationships with outside providers. So they can come in and offer additional care at home, companion care, specialized nursing, things like that. Those are extra, but the point is you're not scrambling to figure it out when something changes. Transportation is also included for scheduled trips, doctor's appointments, shopping, community outings. You're not stuck and you're not relying on family to potentially drive you to and fro. Now, all that sounds great, but I'm sure this is what most people really want to know. Let's talk about the homes themselves and what they actually cost. One thing Arbor Acres does really well is choice. You're not locked into one type of home. There are apartments, courtyard homes, patio homes, and fully custom homes. The sizes run from 990 square feet all the way over 2,000 square feet. Apartments are the easiest option here. Everything's handled, and you're close to the common areas, which a lot of people like for the social side of things. Courtyard homes are a nice middle ground. 1 or 2 bedrooms around 1,000 square feet or so, and you get your own entrance and a small private outdoor space. If you like the apartment lifestyle but want a little more privacy and maybe a spot for plants or a chair outside, this is usually where people land. Patio homes step things up a bit. These are 2-bedroom layouts around 1,300 square feet. They feel like more traditional home with more room and outdoor space, but without the upkeep of a standalone house. Then you've got the custom homes. And these range from 1,200 all the way to over 2,000 square feet, 1 or 2 bedrooms, and they give you the most flexibility. Layouts, finishes, details. You have more say here if you want something that really feels like your own. Now, let's talk money, because this is the premium option in Winston-Salem. So, monthly fees generally run from the mid-2,000s to the low to mid-8,000s, depending on the home you choose. On top of that, there's a one-time entrance fee tied to the size of your home. Part of that fee is refundable decreasing at 2% per month for the first 50 months. And let's not dance around it. This is the most expensive retirement community in the area. If there's one downside people mention, it's the cost. But here's what you're actually paying for: care for the long haul. The dining program we talked about, the amenities, the service, and a community that's been working at a high level for decades. That monthly fee covers a lot. You're not getting hit with surprise charges for basic things. Everything's bundled in, aside from the optional third-party care if you ever need it. Some people see that monthly number and immediately say, nope, that's not for me. And that's completely fair. But when you start adding up what you're already spending on housing, utilities, maintenance, bedside entertainment, transportation, life, the gap starts to shrink. And then there's the part that's hard to put a price tag on. Knowing your housing is handled for life, even and when needs change. For a lot of people, that peace of mind is what makes the numbers make sense. If I were at this stage of life and planning ahead, here's how I'd look at it. First thing I'd pay attention to is the waiting list. People don't put down a non-refundable fee and wait years, if not decades, unless they've really done their homework. The location would matter to me as well. You're right next to Buena Vista, downtown, shopping centers, Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center, Wake Forest University, basically all that Winston-Salem has to offer. And that's something that gets even more important as the time goes on. If something serious happens, you can't be waiting around for transportation. You're already near where you need to be. But if I had to pick one thing that would seal it for me, it'd be the care setup. Being able to start out fully independent and know that if when things change later, you can stay on the same campus all the way through memory care, that removes a lot of unknowns. You're not making a new plan every few years, you're making one decision that you can realistically cover for the next 20 to 30 years of your life. The food matters to me for sure, if I'm being honest. If the chef wins a national award and people are always talking about how good the dining is, by the way, these are picky people, if I'm being honest. Well, that tells me the daily life isn't a downgrade. You're not giving things up. We can even say, maybe you're upgrading. And let's be honest, 30 years getting that CARF award doesn't happen by accident. That means standards stayed high through recessions, leadership changes, the industry shifts, and in senior living, that kind of consistency, I'm pretty sure, is incredibly rare. Now, the cost is real, no way around it, but you don't have to think about that moving several times or paying new entrance fees. You won't have to deal with different facilities besides all the stress that comes with each transition. So this full package model starts to make sense. Yes, you're paying more upfront, but you're avoiding a lot of uncertainty later. There's also something different about the people here. When residents waited years to get in, that means they're invested. They participate. They care about the community. That shows up in the day-to-day feel of this place. At the end of the day, Arbor Acres is what premium senior living looks like in Winston-Salem. It's definitely not the cheapest option, but the demand, the satisfaction, and the waiting list all exists for a reason. So, Arbor Acres built its reputation over time, not through hype. The long waiting list is here because people who move tend to stay. And if you're serious about retirement planning in Winston-Salem or the Triad area and want to explore Arbor Acres or compare it to other communities in the area, shoot me an email at blake@theginthergroup.com today. I'll walk you through all your options and help you figure out what makes sense for you and your timeline. Check out the next video linked here, the 5 reasons not to retire in Winston-Salem. It's essential watching if you're considering the area seriously. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you on the next one.